If there's one thing Meghan Markle has never been known to pass up, it's a microphone. Natural disaster? Hand her a mic. Charity panel? Mic. Documentary she barely touched? Absolutely, front and center. And Sundance Film Festival 2026 was no different. Once again, Meghan arrived on cue, smiling wide, posing for cameras, adjusting an oversized trench coat and bracing herself to deliver what can only be described as a carefully curated buffet of buzzwords. This time, the venue was Sundance. The documentary was Cookie Queens, and the central theme, as usual, was Meghan herself. So let's break down what actually happened. First, credit where it's due. Whoever is running PR behind the scenes, Sunshine Sachs, WME, or a team of unseen media sorcerers, deserves recognition. Meghan took the stage, was formally introduced as Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, and received enthusiastic applause. Why the applause? That part remains a mystery. She didn't direct the film. She didn't produce it from the ground up. She wasn't involved during filming. She joined after the project was already complete. Still applause. Prince Harry stood quietly beside her as expected. He didn't speak. He rarely does in these moments. This wasn't his spotlight. And it never really is. Then came the speech. And yes, it was exactly what you'd imagine. Within minutes, the audience was treated to the full Meghan Markle vocabulary checklist. References to my husband and I, vague phrases about layers and complexity, emotional buzzwords like empowerment, leadership, girlhood, and the ever-present Archwell Productions name drop. She described Cookie Queens as the cutest film at Sundance, which is interesting because the documentary is actually about child labor dynamics, intense sales pressure, and financial strain placed on families. Cute might not be the word most viewers would choose. She continued, speaking about nostalgia, creativity, modernized experiences, fly-on-the-wall storytelling, and emotional transformation. It was a long stream of polished phrases that sounded meaningful but somehow said very little. Imagine a dozen LinkedIn posts stitched together and read aloud. Naturally, this raised the question many attendees quietly asked afterward. Did she even watch the film? Short answer, probably not. Long answer, almost certainly not. Because Cookie Queens isn't a lighthearted tale about adorable kids selling snacks. It's a sharp critique of how children, especially young girls, are turned into miniature sales machines. Parents are pressured to front thousands of dollars. Girls are coached to smile, perform, and sell. Families take on financial stress. One child reportedly sold more than 12,000 boxes through a parent-run website. That's not wholesome nostalgia. That's capitalism with braids and badges. Yet Meghan labeled the film powerful, modern, meaningful, nostalgic, and somehow deeply connected to her own childhood. Because eventually, every story circles back to Meghan. She spoke at length about her past as a Girl Scout. Except records show she was briefly a brownie, a lower rank, but former Girl Scout certainly sounds better for branding, especially when Netflix is involved. When asked whether her daughter Lilibet might join the Girl Scouts someday, Meghan responded with one of her signature non-answers, "We'll continue to explore whatever feels right." Translation? Please stop asking about my kids. Every time the children are mentioned, the deflection is immediate and flawless. Now here's another detail that matters. Meghan and Harry were listed as 2 of 18 executive producers on the project. 18. 16 of those producers didn't step forward. 16 didn't reach for the microphone. Only one treated Sundance like an awards ceremony. Her approach has become almost predictable. Attach name to project. Arrive late. Take the mic. Talk about herself. Pose. Exit. Repeat. It's branding. It's consistency. And for many, it's exhausting. According to royal commentator Tom Sykes, the Sussexes joined the project only after it was completed, making Meghan's emotional speech about years of dedication even more puzzling. Multiple critics noted a striking disconnect between the film's actual message and Meghan's interpretation. IndieWire described Cookie Queens as a critique of commercialization and pressure placed on young girls. Meghan called it cute. That contrast alone says everything. Audience members later shared their confusion online. One said the documentary was powerful, but people couldn't understand why Meghan was the focus. Another noted that the film highlights financial struggles faced by families, something Meghan never addressed once. Instead, the spotlight stayed firmly on her memories, her emotions, her journey. And let's not forget, Prince Harry has publicly criticized media excess and taxpayer costs tied to royal exposure. Yet here he was, posing for photos like it was a red carpet prom night. The irony wasn't lost on observers. Then there was the outfit. While delivering what felt like an acceptance speech for a career that never materialized, Meghan debuted a look that left fashion critics baffled. An oversized trench coat swallowed her frame. A wrinkled sweater peeked out awkwardly. Pants dragged on the floor. The hairstyle was severe. The makeup uneven. The bronzer noticeably stopping at the jawline. It looked like a rushed thrift store experiment in poor lighting. The French tuck highlighted all the wrong places. The boots seemed unsure of their purpose. Critics joked it looked like a page from a 1990s department store. Catalog. Others made far less flattering comparisons. Was it an attempt to rival Princess Catherine's iconic coat moments? Possibly. Did it succeed? Not even close. And finally, there were the hugs. Long, dramatic, camera-ready embraces, especially with the children, perfectly timed for photos. Because nothing says authenticity quite like choreographed affection. Harry hovered nearby, more background extra than partner. Everything seemed to run through a familiar internal filter. How does this connect to me? How can I insert myself? How do I brand this? Girl Scouts? Meghan. Documentary? Meghan. Child exploitation? Still Meghan. Humanitarian crisis? Also Meghan. Her famous dish soap story has been replayed to exhaustion, so now it's cookies. New prop, same script. She's positioning herself as the inspirational female figure of 2026, and the documentary just happened to be the vehicle. But the audience noticed. People were confused. Why was she speaking? Why was she there? Why did this feel like it was about her? Cookie Queens deserved better. The girls deserved better. And the audience deserved better. Instead, they got another performance from Meghan Markle. Word salad, the greatest hits edition.